On the news, tribunal nullifies election of Adeleke as Osun State Governor, declares Oyetola as winner. Independent National Electoral Commission INEC set to test beavers with mock accreditation on February 4. And Abuja-Kaduna bound train derails, leaving passengers stranded. It's good to have you join us on News Now. I am Mary Kanu. The Osun State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal has nullified the election of Ademola Adeleke as governor of the state. In its ruling on Friday, the tribunal declared Gboyega Oyetola the validly elected governor of the state. Delivering its judgment on Friday, the tribunal held that the governorship election was characterized by overvoting, adding that after deducting the excessive votes, Oyetola's figures rose to 314,921, while Adeleke's came down to 290,266. The tribunal, led by Justice Tetsi Kume, therefore instructed INEC to withdraw the certificate of return issued to Adeleke and his deputy Kola Adewusi, and directed that the certificate of return be issued to Oyetola instead. Meanwhile, responding to the tribunal's ruling, Adeleke has described the judgment as a miscarriage of justice, adding that it is an unfair interpretation against the will of the majority of voters. He also says he would appeal the judgment, sacking him as governor of Osun State. Meanwhile, legal experts have said the Osun State Tribunal's ruling does not automatically confirm victory for Oyetola, adding that Adeleke reserves the right to appeal. Speaking on TV360's flagship program, TV360 Chairman, Nigerian Bar Association Section on Public Interest and Development Law, Monday Ubani, said a comprehensive investigation into allegations of overvoting during the election must be carried out. He also called on the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to tighten up all loose ends and ensure reliability of the bimodal voters accreditation system BVAS in readiness for the coming general elections.
I think that the man that was there, the governor, felt aggrieved with the result that was declared by INEC and brought the matter before the tribunal. And tribunal, after taking evidence from all the parties, came to the conclusion in the judgment today that there was overvoting. And when there is an overvoting, what a judge was supposed to do is to remove those votes that he considered to be more than necessary for the electoral process. The interesting aspect which you have reported is that it wasn't a unanimous decision. There is a dissenting judgment. And so one need to look at the majority judgment and also probably peruse the dissenting judgment in order to actually give a proper and a fairer view of what may have probably impacted on the mind of the two justices who gave judgment in favor of the former governor. And so whatever we're doing now is based upon the report we have read from the newspapers, that voting was the main cause why this particular electoral result was nullified. One of the worst things that can happen to Nigeria is to have a biased umpire. And I mean it, because it goes to the root of our electoral fairness. If you have an umpire that is biased, where you have an umpire that is very corrupt, where you have umpires that are very, very terrible in terms of not allowing the mandate of the people, to prevail, then the country is in a big mess. Because umpires are supposed to be clearly unbiased. They are supposed not to take side with any party in an electoral process. They are the umpire, so-called, in a manner that will introduce fairness. We have known what this country is suffering because of unfairness in the electoral process. Yeah, if this is well established, I thought that with the level of less of interference of the human factor in our electoral process, that will begin to minimize some of those flaws, we have experienced over time in our electoral process. But with this particular judgment, and if it is well established that was over voting and that it was done in collusion with INEC officials, then we are back to square one. It means that even with the deployment of technology in our process, we can still have flaws. We can still have human collusion. We can still have problem, irregularity that is engineered by human factor to really derail the fairness of the electoral process.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it will conduct a mock accreditation exercise on February 4, 2023. According to the Commission, the exercise is to test the efficacy of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, ahead of the presidential and National Assembly elections on February 25. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu disclosed this on Friday in a meeting with all the 37 resident electoral commissioners in the country. According to him, the machines used for the mock exercise will be reconfigured in preparation for the May elections. And less than a week after an Itakpe Warri train derailed in Kogi, another train on Friday derailed in Abuja, the nation's capital. The Abuja-Kaduna train service derailed at Kubwa on Friday afternoon, leaving hundreds of passengers stranded. Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Fidet Okira, who confirmed the incident, however, said he was trying to obtain more information on the incident. It will be recalled that an Itakpe Warri train had on Sunday derailed in a Kogi forest, although the 143 passengers were safely evacuated. A coalition of students from different tertiary institutions across Lagos State have gathered at the Unicorn Stadium to show their support for the incumbent governor of the state, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Representatives from the University of Lagos, Lagos State University, Lagos State Polytechnic of Technology, and Lagos State University of Science and Technology, amongst others, were present. The students presented the governor a certificate of endorsement pledging that over 4 million students in the state will cast their votes in support of him. Addressing the students, Governor Sanwo-Olu thanked the leadership of the students for their support, reiterating that this was a validation of his leadership.
I want to thank you all for supporting me, for agreeing with me that that's the best thing we should do. And to all your vice chancellors that are here, I want to thank you all very much. We are on the conversation of making our universities the best, not only in the country, but compete with the best in the world. LASU already is one of the best in the country. It's already one of the best in the world. The two other universities will also attain that level very, very, very soon. And that's what we're about. That's what you are voting for. You are voting for your future. You are voting for the future of your children that are coming behind you. And you are voting for generations that are coming. And that's why we're asking you that your vote is a vote for APC. From our presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to all of the APC candidates in the Senate and House of Rep. Of course, to the governorship candidate and House of Assembly, you will do the right thing. And God will bless you. You have said it in LASU that I built and I handed over to you the biggest student arcade in the whole of the country. Is it not so? It's because you are important to me and will continue to do that. I came around and I said I'm going to provide additional buses for you. These are some of your buses that you'll be taking away. Additional buses for you. We want life to be meaningful to you. We want life to make sense to you. That's why we are doing what we're doing. And I want to thank your entire leadership. We are not taking it for granted. You have said to us, we should do a lot more. And our government will certainly do a lot more.
The Abia State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has fixed February 4 as the new date for its governorship primary election. This followed the death of the PDP flag bearer in the state, Uche Ikone. Ikone, who was the former Abia State University Vice Chancellor, died on Wednesday. In a statement on Friday, the party said the governorship primary would hold at the Umuahia Township Stadium. In the statement signed by Abia PDP Vice Chairman and Acting Publicity Secretary Abraham Ama, the party urged all interested aspirants to collect expression of interest and nomination forms from the PDP headquarters in Abuja. And the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has urged Nigerians not to allow the 2023 general elections to fail. Governor Wike gave her charge of the 2023 Port Harcourt International Conference sponsored by the Rivers State government held at Obi Wali International Conference in Port Harcourt. Allowing such failure, he said, will increase political polarization, exacerbate social fault lines and set Nigeria's democracy backward.
In a democracy, periodic elections are the only legitimate means for the peaceful transfer of power from one party to another. Since 1999, Nigeria has had 6 general election cycles, but none was considered substantially clean, free, and fair. Ordinarily, with 6 consecutive election cycles, Nigeria's electoral democracy ought to have crystallized effective compliance and enforcement of the basic standard rules, processes, and preconditions for successful elections should never be challenging to the independent National Electoral Commission, the security agencies, the judiciary, and the political parties. Unfortunately, this is not the situation yet. Nigerians are hoping and praying for the 2023 general elections to herald the deepening of democratic culture, the rule of law, and good governance in the country.
The Yaba College of Technology, Yaba Tech Lagos, is set to get a new rector as the current rector, Obafemi Omokungbe, will officially bow out of office on January 29, 2023, after concluding a 5-year stewardship in the institution. In a special pull-out ceremony held at the Yusuf Grillo Auditorium, Omokungbe's tenure was hailed as successful in every ramification by friends and colleagues. Speaking of the event, the outgoing rector listed some of the strategies implemented to boost the school's image and called on relevant stakeholders and concerned bodies to practice the culture of maintenance.
The first 1 month was serious for me. I was almost calling it a quit. But God has made me to be courageous to face and tackle those things. And so I had a strategic plan when I was to come in place. And so I quickly went back to that. And in the last 5 years, there has not been any strike. We've had stable academic calendar in spite of even the COVID. We were the first institution to go online, public institution, to go online to complete that session. And of course, we did it and others copied us. We have a strategic plan in place that in the next 5-10 years, whatever anybody, they chose to follow that strategic plan, is just to go there and plug in those things. And of course, the system will move and it will be working.
He has driven the ship of the institution to a very successful, destination. He has touched almost every aspect of the institution, starting from having a very stable academic calendar, raising the status of the university, coming first 4 times in a row.
From the documentary, so that he's done well on infrastructure. Infrastructure is also continuing. Others can do more, and maybe staff welfare, maybe other facilities, the academic program. So there's a whole lot to be done in an institution of this nature. He's done well, quite well.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, India launches first nasal COVID-19 vaccine. We'll bring you details of the story and more right after this break.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back. Now here's a recap of our top stories tonight. The Osun State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal has nullified the election of Ademola Adeleke as governor of the state. In a ruling on Friday, the tribunal declared Boyega Oyetola the validly elected governor of the state, revealing that the governorship election was characterized by overvoting. Meanwhile, responding to the tribunal's ruling, Adeleke described the judgment as a miscarriage of justice, saying he would appeal the judgment, sacking him as governor of Osun State. We also told you that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it will conduct a mock accreditation exercise on February 4, 2023. According to INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, the exercise is to test the efficacy of the bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) ahead of the presidential and National Assembly elections on February 25, adding that the machines used for the mock exercise will be reconfigured in preparation for the main elections. In case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. India has approved its first nasal COVID-19 vaccine made by Bharat Biotech. Incovac is administered in the form of drops and stimulates an immune response in the tissues that line the nasal cavity. In September 2022, China had approved an inhaled COVID-19 vaccine administered in the form of a spray. Scientists say that nasal vaccines may offer added immunity in the lining of the nose and upper airways, where COVID-19 typically enters the body. We'll take a short break and return with business updates, so stay with us. Welcome back. Folashade Ogunrinde is standing by with business updates. Folashade, over to you.
Well, many thanks, Mary. And in business, representatives of Chief Executive of Commercial Banks in Nigeria have clarified that the banks are simply following the directives of the Apex Bank in the redistribution of the new Naira notes to Nigerians. The bank said this while appearing before the House of Representatives ad hoc committee on CBN cashless policy at the National Assembly on Thursday. Chairman of the ad hoc committee and the majority leader in the House of Representatives, Alhassan Doguwa, while expressing total dissatisfaction with the way the CBN and the commercial banks are handling the situation, said the House called the fact-finding meeting to find a solution to the problem. On their part, the representatives of the commercial banks explained that the Apex Bank only directed them to do the swapping of old currencies through the automated teller machines.
So notwithstanding that explanation you are making, this is the position of the law. And at whatever instance and for any reason, the expiry date for the old note comes up, then definitely the old note has to continue as a ban. And no time is even specified here, which means banks of commercial banks will continue. The central banks are under moral and statutory obligation to continue to accept old notes, only that they cannot be used as legal tender. So what you are speaking now is like you are trying to reiterate the subsection by section 1 and 2, which this subsection says, even with them, with those sections, notwithstanding them, this is the position of the law. I'm sorry, I don't want you to let us go into interpretation of the law. We make the laws here.
If a mutilated note is presented, bank has every right to either reject or accept, no matter how mutilated or imperfect, or maybe if all the bank recognize to accept, it's okay. But bank have no reason or any right based on this provision of this law to reject any old currency after the expiration date, despite the fact that the note or the currency ceased to be a legal tender.
Thank you, Jah.
Agents in areas where there are not enough banking services will be there to exchange notes from persons, and the exchange is such that you bring 10,000 naira, for instance, for exchange, where you don't have new notes in 1,000 naira bills or 500 or 200 naira bills, you will be paid in smaller denominations, same value. That's what the circular says. That's just clarity around the cash swap.
We'll take a breather now and be back with a review of the stock market. To stay with us. It's a bearish end of weekday trading on the floor of the NGX's all-share index closed in the reds at 0.18%, while market capitalization ended at the 28.69 trillion naira basis mark. A total of 171 million volume of shares valued at 2.3 billion naira exchange hands in 3,599 deals. Now, compared with the previous Thursday's trade day, today's data showed that 22% improvement in volumes, 16% improvement in turnover, and 1% improvement in deals. In the aggregates, 111 NGX listed equities participated in trading, ending with 24 gainers and 11 losers. CAP led the gainers with a 9.83% share price appreciation, closing at 19.55 naira per share, followed by Northern Nigeria Flour Mills. Now, the losing side, Cotix, came out last with an end-of-day price appreciation of 8.11% at 2.04 naira per share, followed by international breweries. Now, away from the NGX now to a select global stocks, FTSE, Dow Jones and Nikkei are all in the green, helped by better than expected economic growth and a pop in market darling to Tesla. And that's it on Business News and Stock Market Review. Back to you, Mary, for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Folashade, for the updates. Moving on now to the global scene, U.S. authorities have charged 5 former police officers with second-degree murder, aggravated assault and kidnapping over the fatal beating of a black man in Memphis as the southern city braced for possible civil unrest, and President Joe Biden urged demonstrators to protest peacefully. Tyree Nichols was stopped on January 7 for what the Memphis Police Department said was reckless driving. The 5 officers, who are also black, were fired after an internal investigation found them to have deployed excessive use of force and to have failed to render aid. Nichols was taken to the hospital in critical condition, where he died on January 10. In sports, the second edition of the She Plays initiative organized by the Asisat Oshoala Academy has been held in Lagos, with some selected students participating in the training and mentorship program. Empowering the girl child through sports, the initiative emphasizes the importance of education to the development of the girl child, increased attention, and addresses the challenges of adolescence. Our correspondent Simisola Adigun now reports.
Here on this field are a select group of young girls from the Ansarudin College in Lagos for a one-day sensitization program organized by the Asisat Oshoala Academy. Tagged She Plays, the program in its second edition is set to equip young girls with sporting skills as well as mentor them on the importance of personal hygiene as well as basic health education skills. The session started from the classroom, where girls were taught basic health safety techniques, coping with the pressure of competition, and how to achieve excellent academic results. Away from the classroom, the next stage of the training was on the field, where the girls were drilled on major techniques in sports such as football, badminton, and volleyball.
The whole essence of this project, like it's called SHE, which means sports, humanitarian, and the E stands for education, is to encourage young girls to understand that you can be in school and at the same time learn sports. Is to empower them with not just sports, it's also about education, it's also about learning to respect other people, it's about life skills. And as you know, the Asisat herself has made so much for herself as a sports person.
Asisat Oshoala Foundation and Academy collaborates together to give hope to girls' child. That's our first aim. And how do we do that? You need to go to the grassroots as well, to spread the message so that it can touch the lives of the commoners in the society that doesn't have the privilege or the opportunity of coming to gain from the academy. So that's the reason why we are visiting the school. And we call it SHE program. We go through sports, humanitarian, and education. That's what we combine together to form the SHE.
The beneficiaries, who are huge admirers of the great Asisat Oshoala, expressed gratitude for the impact the program has made on their lives.
Today has really been an eventful day, and I'm sure a lot of students in the school will be able to remember this successful program. A lot of students or girls hasn't really been given the opportunity or platform to be able to learn or acquire knowledge on volleyball. So it's really appreciative of Asisat Oshoala, Miss Asisat Oshoala, to give us this opportunity.
We also learn about menstrual hygiene, that the menstrual cycle is either 30, 24, 20, from the ages of 21 to 30 days, and we can have 5 days menstrual cycle and 7 days when the menstruation flows, and there is 14 days, then you add and minus on your calendar.
Today has been a lot of fun. I have learned a lot about a lot of sports, for example, football, badminton, and volleyball. To be sincere, I didn't know how to play these games until today, and I am very, very grateful for the people that took their time to come to our school today to teach us all about it.
Through the She Plays initiative, the Asisat Oshoala Foundation hopes to provide more access to sport and education for marginalized girls in Nigeria. Simisola Adigun, TV360, Lagos.
Well, that's the size of our news bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. I am Mary Kanu.